In OBE system, outcome-based educations, it has defined a few things, set of rules. For example, as we know, there is a course learning outcomes, we call CLO or CO. There is also a program outcome or program learning outcome, and there are also program educational objectives. It is quite difficult. This is called PEO or PO. So in this video we will be talking about these three things in detail. So let's talk about course learning outcome. This is called CLO or just course outcome.
Yes.
What is this?
So CO or CLO means that after the completion of each course or each subject, so what is the outcomes? So this is course learning outcome.
What does outcome mean? Explain it. How? If a student study that book, that's a physics.
Yes.
So at the end of that subject, for example, he studied that subject in one semester. What?
In one semester.
So what will be our objectives? What will be our desired targets? What we want to know those students, for instance?
For instance, in the subject, all the topics are present. So after the completion, so he must know these topics.
These stuff, wonderful. For instance, in physics, there is Bernoulli's equations, there is equation of continuity. At least, for instance, if we set this goal that, for instance, I am a physics teacher, so that I put this here like this, that the students will be able to apply Bernoulli's theorem.
Yes.
This is my CLO, one CLO.
Yes.
So if my students complete my subject, physics subject, at the end of the semester, if my students is capable to use Bernoulli's theorem in real application, in real life application, this means that he achieved that CLO.
Yes.
If he is not able to use Bernoulli's theorem, so this means he does not achieve that CLO.
Yes.
So this is basically called CLO,
CLO.
course learning outcomes. For every subjects, we have to define, we have to derive this CLO before teaching.
Yes.
That what I am going from my students to have after completion this subject or this course. This is called CLO.
CLO.
Good. So the next is?
Next is PO or PLO, program learning outcomes.
Program learning outcomes or program outcomes. Programs means 8 semesters.
Yes.
If you look into engineering programs such as IT, computer, civil, mechanical, and some electrical programs, so these all programs are for 4 years, 8 semesters. So what we want from our students after completing these 8 semesters. So there are list of 12 program educational outcomes program learning outcomes or program outcomes. Hopefully I will make another video on that, what are those 12 program outcomes. I just want to explain to you a little bit. There are some interpersonal skills, one program outcome. Interpersonal skill mean that he must have those soft skills. This is OBE. I explained one another. This is also another. One is called a teamwork. That whether after completion of the program, for instance, if he spent 8 semesters or 4 years with me in the university, after completion and when he get a degree, whether he is able to work in a team or not. So these are program outcomes. If he is not able to work in a team, this means there are some deficiency in my program. So this means I cannot achieve my program outcomes.
Yes.
So this means I am a failure. There is some defects, there are some problems.
Yes.
So there are 12 program learning outcomes. For instance, the first one is engineering knowledge.
Yes.
This is one program learning outcomes. So for instance, my students, if it is engineering, so engineering knowledge, he must need to have this knowledge. So it varies for all subjects, but if it is medical or engineering, but these are the program outcomes, or program learning outcomes. What is the third one?
The third one is PEO or PO, Program Educational Objectives.
Oh, this is program educational objectives.
Yes.
As we explained that CLO, course learning outcome, is after each subject.
Yes.
Program outcome is after completion of the program, the 4 years.
Yes.
But program educational objectives, this is what you want to see your graduates after 2 to 3 years of your students' graduations. So those students become your alumni. But if students graduated from university and he went to an industry,
Yes.
so I want to see that whether my students fulfill the requirements of the industry or not. These are called program education objective, and it is very, very difficult to maintain the record of all your students. So universities make alumni groups. Alumni mean the graduated students are called alumni. So you have to keep the record of all your students, and you have to keep a contact, a communication after 1 or 2 months, whether you got a job or not. If you get a job, so for instance, if he get a job in Pakistani industries, you go to that industry and meet the CEO or manager of that industry and ask about your graduate students there, whether he fulfill the requirements of your industry or not. For instance, does he fulfill on the teamwork or not? So these are the whether he has a good communication skill or not. This is also program outcomes. So program educational objectives, basically it is for program learning outcomes. Those 12 program learning outcomes, and you want to see that whether your graduates have those outcomes, those skills or not. So this is what you want to see your graduate after 2 to 3 years after graduations, that whether he satisfied the requirement of the industry or not. I hope you learn about these levels of outcomes and what students able to do at the end of each outcomes.
Hope you understand, and if you have any problem, put the comment below, like my video, subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching.